Good afternoon, everybody. We continue today's press conference. We have head coach Pascal Jansen. If we have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll get started with Michael.
Hey, Pascal, it's Mike Gander from Blue City Radio. How you doing?
Hi, Michael.
I wanted to go back to your press conference after the game on Wednesday. You mentioned that Tallis still had some things to do in order to earn starting minutes in Major League Soccer. It seemed like the amount of time that he played on the game on Wednesday, fitness wasn't an issue. Talk to me about the compromises. So why you felt like he's not able to start MLS games, but he was a good choice to start the Wednesday the U.S. Open Cup. Was it because of the quality of the opposition or something that? Talk to me through that decision.
No, it's not as complicated as you sound it. Make it sound, Michael. It's very, very simple. Tallis, when he came back from Brazil, he is at a certain physical level, competing with guys in an existing dressing room and an existing team from 25. So there's a few things he needs to take care of. Physically, he's not at the level just yet where he needs to be in order to be competitive enough with the guys that are the starters at the moment. The starters have a certain quality also, and it's up to Tallis to make sure that he takes the opportunities that he gets to play and train in order to close that gap and get closer to the players that have a starting position at the moment. The other thing is, if you look at our start from our season, apart from one or two games where we played pretty decent level as well, you see that the guys that play up front are high-quality players who Tallis is competing with as well. So there's a few aspects. The game, however, was played on Tuesday, and the presser was after the game, and that's what I mentioned, not necessarily not being able to start in an MLS team, but in development of Tallis as an individual. It's about making sure you close that gap, and that's something he's trying very hard to do.
Javier?
Hey, Coach, can you give us an update on the injury report?
Looking good so far. No real issues at the moment. Thiago is trending in a very good direction as well. He was on pitch again today, so that is for us as a team is a big one to see back on pitch. Other than that, no others than the usual suspects, unfortunately. Pepe is getting very, very close as well. But then again, like I said, Drew and Alonso are not available. Max Murray is not available, but those are the usual suspects that you guys know about.
Going back in person, Roberto?
Well, what differences does Tallis bring to the number 9 versus Nico?
The intensity of play, his movement off the ball is quite significant. Is a big difference. I would say also the pace of movement is a difference, and overall, if you look at both players, they're good players but completely different profiles. So it's good to see that Tallis got 3 goals in a game like we played on Tuesday. That means he's trending in the right direction in order to stay competitive with the guys that get the starting minutes from the last games. But like I tried to explain to Michael just now also, is making sure that everybody stays competitive throughout this season, because we need everybody available as well.
For him, it's really a newish position as far as playing number 9. What has he learned since he's been here, and where would you want to see him get better?
Well, he was playing in a combination with Seymour Reed on Tuesday, which means if you look at how we try to play at this moment, we had a real number 9 on pitch on Tuesday with Seymour that allowed Tallis to move a little bit more around him and take the benefit of the spaces that Seymour created for him. But the major factor I would like to address is making sure he got himself on the scoreboard. He scored 3 goals, and that's important also for an attacker, especially for Tallis with less minutes, but also trying to make an impact on this team, trying to get some more minutes in. So that is the most important thing. I would say where he is at the moment is in a good place. but he has to work on a couple of things which he is fully aware of.
As far as the team in general is concerned, you had a nice victory, very good victory against Westchester on Wednesday, coming off 3 non-wins in MLS. How does that affect the mentality going into the game against Charlotte, or does it?
No, it helps, but we also have to put it in perspective. It was a cup game where the resistance is different compared to the MLS. The run of play in the MLS, unfortunately, and this has been discussed quite a few times now. If you take the Miami game, has its own story. St. Louis is something that is fully our own responsibility for that result. The game in Vancouver, I think it was decided in the defensive box on our side with the quality of their chances. So every game in the MLS has a separate story. For us, it's mainly making sure that we focus on what we need to improve to play the games the way we want to play, which will give us the biggest chance of winning the games.
Thank you.
Back to the Zoom, we'll go with Michael.
Pascal, going back to Talish, question: are you a believer in coaching philosophy of mentors? And if so, is there someone that you think Talish could learn from specifically that you would say, hey, spend more time with this person on or off the field?
No, not specifically. Unfortunately, we don't have anybody in the squad at this moment who could fulfill that role other than Maxi Morales. And Maxi is taking his responsibility, and not only with Thales. It's more that we put a lot of emphasis on making sure that the guys up front understand each other and making sure that they work on their chemistry in order to be as aggressive and most attacking-minded forwards that we can bring to the pitch. Even though the resistance level on Tuesday was different than in the MLS, you could see the way he linked up with Agu or even with Arnau, and in some cases also with Seymour Reed, is something that we've obviously worked on training during training. And then it's always good to see how the chemistry is transferred to an official game. So those are the things that we try to focus on in order to improve.
Javier? Christian?
Hi, Coach. You mentioned that every MLS game has its own story.
Yeah.
With that in mind, what do you think is the story of NYCFC against Charlotte this weekend?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Something that we briefly addressed also amongst ourselves at staff level, but also with the team preparing for Charlotte. Obviously, we played them a couple of times in 25, and they have a very, very strong team with some high-quality players. Play well organized also. And you see the results were in our favor, especially when we played them in the final part of the season to try and progress during the playoffs. So I think that is something that we have to take in account. I know they will, coming to New York, because their last result in New York, apart from the playoffs, wasn't in their favor. So they'll be looking for a good result also. And I think the games have shown so far in 25 that we are two competitive teams who have a lot of quality on field. And I'm looking forward to seeing us play each other again, because I, for one, enjoyed the games played against Charlotte last season.
Final one, Javi?
Hey, Coach. Statistically, they're on the top end of all offensive categories. Is there something you are telling the boys that are training specifically towards this team to make sure we don't have any defensive mistakes this time around?
No, nothing specific. Like I mentioned a couple of times in the games that we played so far, there were some things that we needed to address from our own perspective, and that's what we focus on. Obviously, we take into account something that is at the stronger end from the opponent, but nothing in specific that I have to share with you guys at this moment.